Thank you for being here. It is Payson City Council meeting for January the 18th, 2023, and the time is about a minute after 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and open this council meeting by prayer, and I've asked Council Beecher if he would do that for us.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for this opportunity we have to meet this evening in the capacity of the City Council meeting for Payson. We're thankful, Father, for all of our many blessings, for the opportunity we have to live in this great community, and for those that have come this evening to participate. Bless us this night that we'll do those things that are pleasing unto thee, that hear everything that's said, and we'll listen and make good decisions for the city and for the citizens of Payson. And again, we thank thee for all that we have. We say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Kirk. I've asked as Council Carter if she would lead us in the pledge.
Y'all stand and repeat with me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Thank you, Linda. We'll go ahead and go to B consent agenda, approval of the January 4th, 2023 City Council minutes. And number 2, resolution amendments to the Payson City fee schedule regarding library fees, administrative fees, and candidate filing. I'm ready for a motion if there's no discussion on those consent agendas.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded, roll call vote. Council Christensen,
Yes.
Council Beecher,
Yes.
Council Carter,
Yes.
Council Prosgaard,
Yes.
Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to petitions. Number 1, Communities That Care, Mayor's Youth Recognition Award. Kim, you ready?
All right. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm gonna say these names right. Is it Zoe? Come on up, Zoe. And I'm gonna let you say your last name because I will butcher it, guaranteed. Okay. We'll let the mayor give it to you. It's just more official that way, you know? Come stand right up there. Okay, this is like not gonna stay up, so. I'm a loud person, I can do that. Okay, Zoe is from Payson Junior High. And she moved here from Lehigh at the beginning of the school year and has done so well in reaching out to those around her who seem to struggle. For example, I have lost how many times Zoe sweetly and kindly includes a certain student in my class who is obviously different and struggles sometimes to understand the readings. Excelled in every assignment I have given out. She's willing to share her gift of excelling in class with one particular student to make sure that student understands what is going on and feels like they have a friend. It has made me tear up multiple times. And this, they didn't tell me what teacher said this about. Oh, Rachel. No, they didn't tell me what teacher. Anyway, one of your teachers thinks you're fabulous. So congratulations. Hey, stay there. Okay, our next one is from middle school, is always my overachiever. And so like I think every one of your teachers responded. So I'm just gonna sort of paraphrase. So Brinley is so helpful and she's someone you can count on and she is the best. And another teacher said she is amazing. She is always working diligently in her class and is very respectful to her teachers and peers. She's a good friend to those around her and is an example of a good student and a citizen to everyone around her. She's always kind, smiling, and true to who she is. Even on her hard days, she is consistent in her work ethic and character. Friendly 100% deserves this award. And another teacher said she is awesome. So awesome seems the the main theme of this.
I've always said it, I'll say it again. These are tomorrow's council leaders.
I thought you was going to take my thunder too. This is the best part of the meeting, really is. Okay, moving on. We'll go ahead and open a public forum. Anyone can speak on items that are not on the agenda. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less if you can. And just understand that you're notifying us of a problem. And we'll research it after we become aware of it. Okay.
Both you that are standing up now have to come to the mic.
Okay, I'm not seeing anybody come up. We have maybe had some volunteers, but maybe not. Come on up. Come on up and have some candy.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Have her pick anything.
Anything you want, hon. Come on up, guys. All of you.
Pick anything you want.
Anything you want, you can choose out of two.
Yes.
You bet. You bet. Thank you.
You.
Kim, anybody online? Okay.
You're welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, since we do not have anyone coming up to take advantage of it, we'll go ahead and close the public forum. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We're bribing them to come to council meetings.
Okay, moving on to number 3. If there's any staff that would like to report to us, we're more than happy to here to listen to you. Okay. Tracy.
Hi, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to report on a couple things going on in the parks. We've been doing a lot of snow removal and we've been doing a lot of tree work. It's a good time of year we go around and mark the trees that need to be trimmed up and different, prunings and different things. So we've been trying to do it that. They've been doing a great job with the snow. It's been great to have all the snow. We also, and I don't want to speak for Jason, Dave, or Robert, but we have been working on the dog park. Me and Wes went on some field trips, and we've been talking about future developments coming in, and if they want to be pet friendly spaces, then we feel like it would be appropriate to encourage them to build dog parks on those facilities. It just seems to be a trend when we went on our field trip, looking around, just thinking of if you have 500 door facility and 100 of them have pets, and they all got to go to the bathroom, they all need to play. So just thinking ahead that whatever dog park we end up with and where and how big, I just don't think it's going to be big enough for all of our growth. And that would help if it's something that we could do with future development. to try to help, so we'd have multiple dog parks, but maybe the city would start with just one.
Yeah.
We also, I know Dave's been working on getting the committee together. So we have a lot of ideas. We took a lot of pictures. We met with a lot of other parks superintendents from other communities, and they kind of told us what they did wrong and what they would change. So we have a lot going on there, but I just wanted to kind of put that part in front of you as something to think about with these future developments. I think it would help alleviate a lot of stress on one dog park, and maybe so we wouldn't have to worry so much about the dog park being centralized or on this part or not that part.
Those other superintendents that you've talked to, have they mentioned that they've included that? And Robert, this question's for you too. Have you seen that ordinance in other cities that require a dog park for having so many doors? You have to have a dog park.
I haven't seen it by ordinance, but more by marketing.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep looking at American Fork and others just to see if there's a specific. But I think it could be written into as part of the amenity package, that if they identify it as a pet-friendly facility, then X number of, one of their amenities has to be dog relief space.
I think not only a relief station, but a park.
I might mention too, and Bob, you're not aware of this, I don't believe, and I wasn't there personally. I went to a basketball game. But it was mentioned in our station area a public meeting that that might be a good location as well. So anyhow, it's a subject that is getting a lot of study.
Yeah. So anyway, that's all I have tonight. Unless you have any questions, I just wanted to, maybe you guys could kick that around, and if you have any ideas, let us know.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Did you?
I just wanted to report, maybe I'm taking the mayor's thunder, but
No.
we spent the day at the legislature today with our youth court personnel. We had five youth go up with us, and it was pretty good. Doug Welton took us to the House floor and back in the inner sanctum and over to the Senate side, and took a few pictures with the youth group, and then we went and watched a committee hearing. Mike McKell was the chair of that, and he recognized them and had them stand up, and so I think it was good all the way around. They got to listen to the governor's wife speak, and then the governor spoke at the luncheon a little bit and just answered questions. So they got to submit questions, and so it was a good day for the youth and for all of us. And Payson City is on the radar of a lot of legislators, and talked to a couple of our lobbyists and things. I think things are moving forward in a good direction for the city. So just wanted to report that. The other thing is our snowpack is at 197%, which is great.
That does not mean it needs to quit snowing.
I know, exactly.
Need it to continue.
Our year, I didn't look at the inches.
Because you said like we were 2 inches, and how long we had to be to 10. So where are we now?
I think when I took it last.
I'll look at that when I go back and sit down, but right now we're doing really well. Like say last year, we were doing really well in November, and then it shut off for the next 3 months. So it could happen, but our year-to-date precipitation, it starts October. It's the water years from October. We're 187% year-to-date water precipitation. So things are looking good, but as Councilmember Beecher said, it needs to keep happening. And we have been in a pretty good groove of storms that have come, and it's been a little bit different in my mind than I've seen in many years, because we're getting snow up in the mountains, but it's been more rain down here, so it's been a little warmer.
And they didn't have any hardly snow in Spanish Fort today.
Wasn't much.
Yeah, this morning I was a little concerned about taking the van up with the kids in, because it's just a rear wheel drive, and so we took our trucks, but by the time we got to Orem, it seemed pretty dry, and we probably would have been okay with the vans, but
it worked out well.
But we were safe.
Our mantra needs to be a storm a week.
Yep, just like
That's what it needs to be
Oh,
all
so-
winter long.
So we don't need the 3 a week we're getting?
No, but at least a storm a week.
It's kind of like what the almond commercial, just one can a week. That's all we ask.
Hey, Dave, with all the snowpack, you're looking at an old timer that used to, in high school and before I left to go on a mission, I spent 3 or 4 years pulling logs out of the high water. We've lost one of our clean out basins or basins with that park. Are we doing anything? We haven't had to worry about that for years.
We thought about it and talked about it this morning. Mayor talked to us, and we will make an effort when it gets warmer to clean out the Dry Creek Channel again. Since the fires, there's been a lot of debris come down. I think it was Strawberry Water and that association, and they will probably put that in their annual report in February, their annual meeting. But they've, even this year, even this fall, they took out over 150 something dump trucks full of sediment, because since the fires, it's just every time we have a storm, it brings down a lot of debris, and it hasn't slowed down very much in the 5 years.
Right,
So
right.
they kind of told us when the fires happened, it'd take about 5 years for the vegetation to grow back, and that would slow down, but we haven't seen it slow very much yet.
And just so you know, I had a citizen call me today and that's that very
Did you?
same question. I was glad to tell him, hey, we're thinking about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll keep on it. And that one of the retention basins up the canyon is the county facility, and we work
Right.
with them and see what we can do there.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Robert, come on up.
I just wanted to stand up and report on the workshop that we had last Thursday night for the train station for Front Runner for our station area plan. We had over 65 people there on a Thursday night in January when it's cold, and I heard there was a Gonzaga game going on.
Yeah, there was.
So
They just kept coming in.
yes, it was really great. So thank you to those who were able to attend. I understand lots of people had things going on that night. I was just so impressed at how many people were there and the responses that people gave. We had an opportunity for people to do instant polling on their phones and gave really great responses to questions on what they want to see in that station area plan and how it's going to impact them. It was just a really, really great opportunity to see our people engaged in planning their future. So really, I don't know how Councilman Carter felt about it, but I thought it was really good.
I just, Dave and I both noticed something that came up on the screen a number of times. Do you know what I'm talking?
Whether you're in
No.
camp Mexican food restaurant or
Yes.
camp no Mexican food
No
restaurant.
more Mexican
There
restaurants.
were two of them though. There was one that says more and there was
Yeah,
one that said no more.
That was the debate of the evening.
We had enough Mexican restaurants.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what there are a lot of
Nothing against Mexican food. It's wonderful, but we need some variety.
my favorite comment of the evening was, what do you want to see in the area? Mud wrestling. That was the best
That got
comment
a
I've ever
response.
heard in a public meeting. So while you wait for front runner, you can have a little mud wrestling option there. So but it was just a really good feeling in that meeting and lots of really good response. We have a website that I'll share out with you where all of that information is being kept, and our consultants are kind of working on processing the data and things like that, and we'll have further updates for you. And then I think right now, one thing that we're going to be working on putting out is a survey just to give a broader understanding of what's going on, and then maybe some activities closer to the summer. So.
I'd like to add, if I can, as we met, we've got a working group and we've got an advisory group, and the working group we met with just recently, they were very much impressed with the support our community has. And these are professionals that have seen a lot of communities as front runners come in, and they were really, really impressed with the citizens and their support for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you.
Okay, any other staff? If not, we'll move on to council reports, starting with Council Hyatt. Nothing? Okay. Okay, sounds good.
I do have one, Mayor. We are right shortly going to have to make a decision on a power project. And I'm sure you're all aware of the nuclear power question that's going to come to us. I would, let's see, I don't want to direct you in the way you will vote, but I will say that if we decide not to go with the nuclear power, which I think I can give you some information that I think is very helpful. But if we don't decide to go and stay in and opt out of what we've already opted into, we dang well better have another idea of resource for power, because there is absolutely zero available. Everybody keeps saying, oh, you're going to be fine with the new solar farms that are going in. There's another new one going to go out in Alberta. Those solar farms are not the answer today for what our power needs are. I'm excited to read. Brian sent me some. It's gone up. It's doubled.
Since you've been on the council.
Well, wait till you see. Wait till you see what UAMPS and SESD is proposing in rate increases. Yeah.
It's not just.
They're both proposing, is it 40? I think it's 40% across the board.
And it is what it is.
And we have no say in that. So I would just say this and to give you time to explore other options if you do feel like we need to opt out. I am excited, and Dave may know this too, that there is a good hint of the government coming in and taking the whole project over, which would be a huge plus.
Cost-wise for us.
Cost-wise, yeah.
Become a first step.
Huh? It would come underneath their scope, and that they would see it build out and see it, which would greatly be a huge boom. And if that happens, I think you're going to see a ton more communities.
Jump through FERC hoops before?
The good thing is we don't have to do it.
Right.
And where the project is already, been through its environmental and everything else, I think it's I guess you're reading into it that I'm pretty pro getting this nuclear plant. These new generation, Brian's fed me about as much information as I got coming out my ears. I think the new generation of nuclear power is until wind is refined and they find
Or cold fusion.
or cold fusion. I'm reading about some hydrogen projects that are starting over in the Scandinavia area, and they've made goals and they've made commitments that they'll be completely carbon free. I believe Sweden or one of them is going to be carbon free by the end of next year, and then Denmark is right behind them. And I think one thing that they're counting on is this new hydrogen power generation. I don't know a whole lot about it yet, but I do know that our option for the west of the Mississippi is nuclear for right now, for probably the next 50 years.
So UAMPS is coming down next Wednesday. We'll send out the date. I think we've sent it before, but they're coming down in here to meet with us and SESD, just talk about the nuclear project.
Yeah.
We do have some information. What Brian and I'd like to do is, I'll send you texts, meet with you when you can, maybe Monday or Tuesday before UAMPS comes, and just so that there's a little refresher before they come and present their information. So when I text you, just let me know when you could be available Monday or Tuesday, and we'll try to accommodate your schedules and try to provide you the information you need so you can study up on and be ready for the meeting that UAMPS will have on Wednesday.
Thanks, Dave.
That's all you got then? Bob? That's it?
That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to just echo with what Dave said about the local elected officials day and the youth council that went up. We've got some great young men and women. They got their first taste of government and some of them would like to have more. They got it. They got,
Run screaming,
what's that?
and some of them wanted to run screaming.
Maybe. But they did get it. I don't think any of the youth councils got the treat that they got, being honored at that committee. And it was really nice to be able to see that and have reach out to our representative and senator they're very responsive to us. So, okay, Linda.
I really don't have anything other than I'm thankful for all the city workers and everything that you do for the city. But there is one thing, and I've been wanting to go down and talk to Mike Olson about this. I don't know if any of you have noticed as you're heading up over the Petite Neat Hill on the highway, that housing development that's right across the street from the Petite Neat. Have you noticed the little lady that sits out there? Have you noticed her, Brett?
The Vista.
Yes, the Vista. Nothing. And she is waving at all the cars and she is so cute. And I wish that Mike could go up and introduce himself and get a picture of her and put it in the Chronicle.
I bet you he would
I'm
do
going to
that.
do that because she is just so pleasant. And she just sits out there and waves, all wrapped up and everything. Yeah, under her umbrella. And I just think we ought to honor her. So anyway, that's all I have.
Okay, Council Beecher,
I don't have anything tonight.
Council Christensen.
No.
Okay. We'll run with that then. Okay, moving on. We do have a presentation of financial audit. No, we need to go to the Payson Santa Quinn Chamber quarterly report. Thor, Manji, I almost skipped you. Sorry.
Sorry, I was late.
No, you weren't late. I saw you down there.
All right. Okay, well, thanks for having us. Couple things. So last time we mentioned we got a new director, Jim, and so we're really kind of shaking things up. We really want to run it like a business and be more professional, and we're working on relationships with the city, and we've brought on another member to our executive board, Diane Jensen of ERA Brokers. So she's going to add a lot of kind of knowledge and professionalism. Her strengths are really organizational kind of stuff. So that's going to really help us. So she's our new treasurer. And then, so we do have a couple of other new board members. Then we got our annual dinner tomorrow at Clarion at 7 p.m. And Dave, we need, so the 10 names of the city people, so we know what table to put you guys at. Otherwise you can just hang around the buffet table, I guess. Yeah, so if you could send that, I could always give you my email or something. Then we on every year in the end of January, we have a retreat. So we're going to have a retreat there. We're going to have it at actually ALA. And we go over our mission, our goals. We're working on our core values and really kind of nailing down what benefits we offer, our members. Because frankly, the last year we've been, asking the question, why join the chamber? And so we're really working on adding value to our members. And really this year we want to go out and meet and greet our members. And then coming up on the 9th and 10th of February, we actually have the opportunity to go up to Capitol Hill and also the Southern Chamber area. There's a day that we kind of gonna brainstorm with other chambers, so they'll be really good. But we'll get an opportunity to go to the Hill, and so we really, one of the differences between us and like a network group is we have the legislation part, and the tie to government. So, and that's really all I have. And then we're also restructuring our business of the month. We're actually going to turn into a business of the quarter. And we're working on like more stringent criteria to have a business of the quarter. And so it really means more, if that makes sense. Okay, and so that's what we have. Any questions from you for the chamber? What can we do for you guys? Anything?
I feel bad that I missed the first meeting. I was sick.
Okay.
So I text someone and told them.
Okay, and if
that
we can have
I'll
your
be there.
cell phone, so we send out reminder
I think
text, so
I
maybe,
Put that on.
okay,
Yeah, if you got a text, you got her phone number.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
okay,
Okay,
okay, thanks very
well,
much.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay, now we'll go to the presentation of financial audit. Ben Probst, Gilbert and Stewart. Ben, thank you for being here.
Like you mentioned, I'm Ben Probst from Gilbert Stewart. CPAs were located in Provo, Utah. As you know, part of the audit, what we do is Kathy prepared the financial statements, and then we were able to come in and we review various transactions. We'll select samples, documentations, look at them, trace them back to the general ledger and see if they're recorded in the proper account. We'll also then send out confirmations to third party to verify cash flow, cash balances, verify revenues coming in, grant money, and those types of things. And then we also perform some state compliance work that the state auditors require every year. They'll change that from year to year. There's some things we look at every year, and there's other things that we look at every 3 years. And so we do that, and then it's part of our report, and I'll go through that as I go through here. Basically on page 2 or 1 of our report, paragraph 2 states our opinion of the financial statements. And basically it states, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respect the respective financial position of the governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information of Payson City as of June 30th, 2022, and the respective changes in financial positions and where applicable cash flows thereof for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. Basically, we have an unmodified opinion. That's the best opinion you can get. There was no material misstatements or errors found as we went through the report. Then there's a couple other reports at the back. One is internal control report, and the other one is the state compliance. Just highlight the part of the state compliance report so that I find that. Basically, in that we looked at budgetary compliance that the state has, fund balances, the fraud risk assessment report that has to be submitted every year. We also do some work with the Justice Court. We look at restricted taxes and related revenues. We look at government fees, make sure those are appropriate and not excessive. That one's on page 120. I'm sorry. Yeah. We also look at cash management and then the Utah retirement system. And this year, as we went through this, we had no findings in relation to any state compliances. And in our letter that I think she included in the back, basically there was no findings this year in our report. I don't know if there's anything you want to go over in the financial statement specifically or address. They're there for you. If you've got questions, be free to take them.
The fact that you didn't have any findings, that's good news as well.
Yeah, I think the prior year the prior year finding we had was we had too much fund balance.
Well,
And that we work,
We tried hard.
yeah,
Don't have to try too hard because of everything. The cost.
yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, I feel the city's in great shape in maintaining their debt structure and paying that down from year to year, and even doing some refunding that put them in a lower interest rate that help benefit the city and things like that. So
Any questions, council? Looks like we're doing okay.
I think it's hats off to Kathy. and
Exactly.
Dave
yeah,
and
she
the
does a great
staff.
job, and her staff, they do.
Yeah, I think they should be well commended, Dave, including you, of course,
Of course.
but Kathy and her staff.
So thank you, Kathy.
Is she? Oh, I can't.
She's hiding.
Yeah.
She's hiding right
You're
back
hiding
there.
behind Robert.
Yeah, as she puts this together, there's quite a bit into it. And as I go through and tie that back down to the financial statements from the computer and from Cassell that she puts it in, and yes, back and forth, we've had some changes and we got it to where it's presentable.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Okay.
Of the $173 million, I don't even know where it's at. We have 52 million. Kathy, help me out here.
Question that you can't find the answer.
You're looking at page 34.
No, I'm looking at, now I'm on page 19.
Oh, 19.
We have 52 million of unassigned net position. Am I reading that right?
First paragraph.
Yep, first. It just talks about the assets and deferred outflows. And it talks about our inflow resources at the close of the year was 173, right? Net
Correct.
of this amount, 52 was unassigned. Will somebody explain that to me?
That's combined, that's funds that can be used, that's not restricted for specific areas. And and it looks to me like, as I look at this, majority of it is in your enterprise funds, the water, the
Yep.
sewer,
Okay,
in those
that's,
funds.
I guess that was my question, is
Right.
where's it at then?
Right.
Okay.
I think
It's not
30,
just money
32
sitting there
million,
ready for us to-
right.
No, I knew that, but it just said it was unassigned and I thought, wow, okay,
That's the question.
thank you.
Okay, again, thank you, Ben.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it very
Thank
much.
you. We appreciate it.
Appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
That was fast.
That's good.
Faster the better, right?
Quicker than
And if you have questions later, as you go through it, don't hesitate, to give me a call or discuss that. So anyhow.
Thanks, you guys. Or thank you.
Okay, discussion regarding city survey, Dave.
So Mayor and Council, you're all aware, we had a survey conducted to our residents. I think we had a great response from a number of people that took part in it. Ron Gailey's On Point Insights, the company that's helped us, he's here. We'd like to just turn some time and he'll kind of go over and go through some numbers and go through the survey, and you can ask questions, but overall, Mayor and I, or Brian, I think, sat through what he had talked about in survey, and I felt like it was a great survey. It gives us some direction on what we need to do and what we can do, and I hope it gives the council some direction. Once Ron goes over this with the council, we can post this on our website and social media so that people can look at it and see the results, and then we may want to focus in on certain parts of the survey, maybe do an additional survey to have a deeper dive into some information that may help us in making decisions. So Ron, do you want to come up and take it away?
Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to be able to come and present to you today. Let me take 2 seconds and do a little introduction of myself. I worked at Zions Bank. I was the research director for them for 5 years. And then I went to another bank up in the Seattle area, Washington Mutual Bank, where I was their research director for 15 years. And then I went to Coca-Cola and I was responsible for research for Coca-Cola in all of Asia. So China and Japan and Vietnam and Korea, 14 countries over there. And I helped senior leaders there and across all those countries make strategic decisions, marketing decisions, new product launch decisions, and so forth. I always wanted my own research company, so I started one 6 years ago. And along the way, I had the privilege of working with a city in Texas. A Texas city asked me if I would help them with their survey. And I looked at their prior survey, and it had a lot of very good questions, just hard to make decisions with. And since I'm one who likes to help important people make decisions, I redesigned it for them from top to bottom, and they loved it. And when I finished, I loved it. Instead of helping Coca-Cola sell more soda or helping KFC sell more chicken or T-Mobile sell more phone plans, I was helping cities make a difference. And that made a difference to me. So I actually still have that company. I'm an owner of that company, but I left it, the one that I started, and I started a new one that all we do is work for cities and towns. And so we've grown really well. And I want to show you now your results. So we started, instead of giving a typical 150-page paper report or a PowerPoint presentation, we give you a dashboard. And the dashboard makes it so that instead of having 150 pages, you can do what ifs, and you have probably more pages realistically than you would have had in a paper report, because you can do just about anything you want on this. I don't know why. Can we shrink down this thing here? I think that's on your end, right? Yeah. And just move it maybe up in the top corner or something. There we go. So this dashboard, I'm live on the dashboard. So I'm showing you, and we'll give you the link for the dashboard, and you'll be able to play with this all you want and do the what ifs. And so in our study, Dave mentioned that we got pretty good response rate. We got 1,609 responses who participated. And we removed a few who were outside of Payson. So when you post it on various places, you can get some. And we removed anybody that was not legitimately in Payson. But that gives us a really like 2.4% margin of error. So any number could be plus or minus 2.4%, but that's very good. And also recognizing, I went on your website, not on your website, I went online and found out the population break of the city. And if I remove the kids, age 17 and younger, you came in with a 12% citizen participation rate. So not bad. You know, not bad. You got really, really good responses from the citizens here. And we broke down the city. Brian provided for me this map. And we asked people where they live on the map. And we got pretty good representation across the various regions of the city. And there were some that were in here from Spring Lake and some who said they were in the unincorporated county. So we have a few things in here. They're just like, we could maybe group them into an area if you wish, but that's where they are. So we got pretty good coverage. Also regarding the demographics, who participated, we got really good distribution by age. You do have some who are 75 and older, but you have really good young, middle, older. We got a pretty good distribution of women and men. Women almost always are more likely to take the survey than men. And they are in this case, but not much. So I've had places where it's like 60-40, but you got pretty good, you know, the men are willing to take a survey around here. And so that's also positive. We also asked, how long have you lived in the city? And we have a lot of people who've been here 20 years or longer, but we also have a lot who've been here, say, less than 10 years. So we have a good, and we can look at them. And also we have some with children and some without. So in this case, 38% said no children in the home, but there's a lot. So there's a lot with children. And the beautiful thing about the way we do this is we can say, oh, I would like to look at maybe females with children. And then immediately we're able to look at the moms with kids, right? And it doesn't matter much on this page, but on every other page, so you can say, oh, I want to look at the moms with kids, or I would like to look at the people who've been in the city 10, 20 years or longer, or I'd love to look at the younger people. So we can do that, and from time to time, I'll show you a couple of things that are examples of that. Okay, now, in the questionnaire, we had some introductory questions that just kind of give us the lay of the land. How's Payson doing? And refer a friend to the city. Would you refer the city to a friend is one of the earlier ones. And people could say 0, I'm not at all likely to refer the city to a friend, or they could say 10, I'm very likely to recommend the city to a friend. And as you can see, we broke it down pretty well for you here. And we have these categories of like strongly positive, somewhat negative, and strongly negative. So I kind of break them into these categories. And then over here on the right, I have this heart, and it's the positives minus the negatives. And so you have people who you're almost strong positive overall, like the city hasn't done too bad. And if you were wondering, like there's some people who are negative, but not that many. And maybe the goal for the coming year will be to move people up a little bit from 5s and 6s up to becoming 7s and 8s. And you move some people who are 7s and 8s now up to being 9s and 10s. And you kind of move things up a little bit, but you're better than a lot of other cities. I'll show you some comparisons in a little bit about that. And then you could say, well, then how are the old timers feeling? Let's say we want the people who've been in the city for, let's say, 15 years or longer. How do they feel? Now, we had a 51 and they're a little less satisfied, but not terribly so, right? I mean, that's not too bad, a little bit different, and the people who've been here for the least amount of time, let's say 1 to 4 years, and there were a lot of those. And then we pull out the old timers. And then how are they feeling? And actually they're super happy, right? Like, your newbies they're the happiest. Your old timers are not so bad, but they're a little less satisfied because like there's been a lot of change and everyone knows it. So, but there you go. You're doing, and by the way, I live in Elk Ridge, and the old timers are even crankier. So you're doing pretty good.
If you know, when you said old timers, we started to smile, especially me and Linda and Bob. We've been here, I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I've been here 70 years. So maybe I'm an old timer.
And there are reasons why the people who've been here a long time are frustrated, but there's also a lot of positives about your city.
Brett too, he's an old timer.
Yeah.
How long you been here, Kirk?
15.
Okay.
15. On any page, though, we can look at old and new and so forth like that. Now, I'm going to skip this next section. I'll come back to it. The direction of the city. So on the bottom, you see the question. In your opinion, has the city improved, stayed the same, or declined in the past 5 years? So this is kind of like, it's not like forever, but it is in the last 5 years. How are we doing? There's a lot of people who feel you've improved. There's a lot of people who feel you stayed the same. And there are some who think that it's gotten worse, right? But by and large, I know there's people who feel you're going the wrong direction, 37%, but a lot are feeling you're going the right direction. So I know the city that I'm from, it's not this good, right? I mean, you've done some things right, and it's hard to please everybody, but you have done a pretty doggone good job. And also compared to other cities, we much better here, somewhat better, about the same, somewhat worse, or much worse? And in general, you tend to be on the much better or somewhat better side, and of course we have some great cities around us, so we could be about the same as a lot of other very good cities. But there are a few who feel it's worse. But, I think you're doing pretty good overall compared to other cities. I sliced this down by the different areas, and I know this map is too teeny to look at, but where are the areas where they're feeling you're doing the wrong direction a little bit more, or where are the areas that feel that things have gotten worse, right? And we see area 6, and I just, for the life of me, can't tell where that is. Oh, that's on the west side.
That's you.
Uh-huh.
I took this test. No, I didn't say that, but I understand.
So they could use a little love out there, right? They could use a little bit of love out there, and there's maybe something to, you know, so West
We're
Mountain.
trying to give them love and put an 1,100 unit apartment complex. How much more love do you
In
want?
general, most of the places are high, but that's at that area. And also those that are maybe outside of the area, this, you
Right.
know, that we included, they're a little less happy as well.
They
But-
don't want it to change.
Yes.
That's very true.
Yeah.
You know, and actually that's, I'm, like I said, I'm from Elk Ridge, and that's what's the problem. They don't want it to change there either. So, and it's very real. Okay, now I mentioned to you some benchmarks, and you're the first city that I've ever shown these benchmarks to. And in the future, I might refine it just a little bit how I do it. But what I did was I took the refer a friend score. Remember where you were 51 back here on the refer a friend rating. So, I'm sorry, go back here. You were a 51 score if you took the positives minus the negatives. Now I'm going to go back to the direction of the city, I'm sorry, the benchmarks here. And across a lot of cities, you're a little bit lower on refer a friend. But these are Texas cities and other Utah cities and a Florida one and a Georgia one. Well, this Georgia one was really not so hot on refer a friend, right? They weren't as happy. But have you improved, stayed the same, or gotten worse? Actually, you do pretty well on the improvement side. So as a base, but how do you feel about referring somebody to come live here? Maybe not so much, but we're going the right direction on improved. And a lot of people feel you're going the right direction here. Like, you know, it's improved and you're going the right direction. Compared to other, is it somewhat or much better? Not so much. Right. So like, I think you're heading the right direction, but there's this feeling that maybe we aren't what we could be. And so I thought that was really interesting to see. There's a couple of cities that just blow it out of the water. There was one in Houston, near Houston, called West University Place. And I don't know, it's like the most amazing place in the world, but you can't afford to live there. You know, that's kind of the problem. And so it's there's a reality there of what it is. Now, this next section is actually the heart of the survey. It is, when I did my first city, there were like, evaluate the city on like almost 50 different attributes. And it was a horrible survey for people to take because it was so long, so many attributes evaluating in so many different directions. And I took the attributes and I broke them into 5 major categories. One was about city facilities and events. Another one was about city benefits. Another one was about growth and development, safety, security, and city operations. So we just looked at everything and I put them into the various categories. We did the same thing. They've held up very well. So we did the same thing and we asked people, we showed them the list on the left, like city parks, historic downtown. And we asked people, which 2 should the city devote more time and resources to enhance? You look through these, which 2 should the city, and you look down the list here and the golf course, you see 2% of the people thought the golf course was most important and we should devote resources to. But you look at the city parks and open spaces and the trail system, and 50% of people said that's where you should focus your time and effort, right? So we got what was most important. And then if it was most important to them, we asked them, how's the city doing? And I think that'll clear in just a second. We asked, how's the city doing? So then the people who felt the golf course was most important, they rated that. And the people who felt the city parks and open spaces was most important, they rated it. And everybody was different, you know, whatever they felt was important. And then you can say, all right, so for the things that are important, are there any areas where we're doing poor or very poor? Right? And that's where you maybe look. And the city parks and open spaces are doing pretty well, but they feel there's room to improve. The historic downtown is important and they feel there's a lot of room to improve, right? And you know that, but then tennis courts and pickleball court, that's really important to some, And maybe some room to improve, but if you have to prioritize, where they're at. And by the way, I'd be the one saying we need more pickleball courts, but I realize I'm in the minority here, right? And it doesn't mean you couldn't and shouldn't do it, but just really helpful to see that. Is that clear? We did the same thing with city benefits here too. So on the city benefits, what's most important, the small town feel, a good cost of living, family friendly, quality restaurants and shopping, quality schools. So these are the most important one. Local access to higher education. Some felt it was important, but not many. And then on the right-hand side, you see that they'd love to preserve that small town feel, and they'd love to preserve the good cost of living. Family friendly, you're doing pretty good. Quality restaurants is, I heard you talking about that. Looks like there's plenty of room to improve. And a lot of people did feel it was important. It's number 4, but it's really quite a number. Pick that one too.
Could you run that one up by Brian for us?
Growth and development. Growth and development's a tough area for every city. I will say, particularly if they're experiencing growth and development, and you are. And so therefore you have to prioritize in the growth and development area. And really what citizens care about most is frankly assuring that the infrastructure is robust and it's okay. And I wish what we would have done is separate streets from the drainage and the water. I wish we would have separated into 2 questions. And when we do this again, that's what I recommend, because you can't pull them apart, but they're very important. So ensuring maintenance of those things and then managing the growth of the city. So they don't mind if the city grows, I think, so much, but they want to make sure that it's done thoughtfully with the roads, the streets, the infrastructure, and we don't let that slip, right? And that's even more important than attracting new restaurants or maintaining the historic downtown area, right? And these are important things, but you can't lose sight of the infrastructure.
And many of them are all connected.
Yeah.
Every one of them are, in some ways that the citizenry doesn't really understand either.
Really valid. But anyway, this is a tough one for people to choose between, but there are a couple of really big ones. And then I'm going to go to safety and security. Safety and security is the next one that we have. And in safety and security, we put in traffic and congestion management, city beautification and neighborhood upkeep, and crime prevention initiatives. Also pedestrian safety. They had a harder time picking the most important ones in this area too. There's a lot of them that are kind of the same. And so, but if you look at the top 4 or 5, I think that's where you focus. And the ones on the bottom, of course, you want to do traffic enforcement, but people are a little less concerned with that in general. And city response, preparation for emergencies. Of course, you do need to be prepared, but they're less concerned with that. City operations. These are maintaining streets and curbs and sidewalks, maintaining the infrastructure, which we put it in 2 places and it came out high in both, and managing the city budget. I think that's really important to see that. And really, it is maintaining the streets and curbs and sidewalks. We'll see the sidewalks come up in another place too as being very, very important. I know it's a tough area for you, but there's a lot of support for it. And it's a really tough area, but there it is. It's a big one. Now, we asked each of these 5 individual sections, and you can understand the priorities within each. But what we also did was ask a question, because when they got to the end, we showed everybody the 10 items that they picked as being important to them. And we said, now, which 3 are most important to you? So we're grading the most important of the most important. And that's on this one here. So what I did was we rated about 50 items, and this page only shows the top 20. So anything that makes the top 20 is pretty important, but anything that makes the top 5 or the top 10 is very important. And so this is where you may want to focus on, where do we focus on if there's comes a chance to choose between things, the things that are rated as most important here, and also where there's a feeling that maybe there's a lot of room to improve. This will help. It'll be an important guide for you. So managing the growth and density of the city, preserving that small town feel, make sure it's the cost of living is reasonable, ensuring that we have the infrastructure managed and that we maintain the streets and curbs and sidewalks.
All of which are important to us.
Yeah. So there you go. And then after you feel like we're doing what we can do here, you go down to the next group and then you go down to the next group.
Can't have a small town bill and keep cost of living down, because that's where the apartments come in.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes these are at odds with each
they,
other.
they definitely are. And I realize the challenge of it. So, all righty. I'm going to go on to basic services. These are things that we didn't rank by importance, but we wanted to get a rating of them. Garbage and recycling, like not much of a problem there. The only ones really that have a little bit of a concern, of course, we did this right during a snowstorm. And so we got some snow removal issues. And then there is the road maintenance concerns, and that's a big one, by the way. It's a really big one, road maintenance. But there is the utility billing customer service is a little bit of a concern as well. So just want to point that out for you.
I wonder if they just didn't like the cost of it.
Probably.
Yeah, that's
Probably what
that's really
drives that.
legitimate.
Because we just got through doing a
Yeah.
increase of fees.
I asked Dave about the recycling, and I keep forgetting to bring it up. So remind me one day, we'll talk about that.
Well, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
It's broke.
It's looking good up there.
Yeah, I guess it's something, if you want to fix it because you know of issues, you fix it, right? But if there's the citizens aren't as concerned. We also asked them, in the past 6 months, have you had contact with city employees or employees of city services? And a lot of them had not, 46% had not, but 54% did. And then if they did have it, we asked who they had contact with. And you'll see utility billing. There's quite a few who had mayor and city council. There's 9% who said they had contact with the mayor and city council. We have the justice court, not very many, thankfully. And then the cemetery, some. So anyway, here's where they've had contact. And then we asked them to rate those areas. Okay. So on the left here, we actually have the count. Like 186 people said they had contact with the library, and they gave it a rating, and it was really quite strong. Your library did really well. The fire department did really well, 98 people, the parks department, and even the cemetery, 45 people said they had contact with the cemetery, and it's pretty good. Coming on down, we have the police department, which is pretty good, a little bit in the middle there, the recreation department, utility billing, the mayor and city council. I've seen worse. You're right here, I've seen worse. I've seen it at the very bottom, by the way, in some cities, and that was eye-opening, but you're doing okay. I think there's room to improve for some areas. The code enforcement area is a tough one in every city. It really is a tough one, and it's a tough one here. So there may be be a way, maybe it'd be good to look into it, but there's not too many. It's only 47, but still,
People that were being enforced by code enforcement or want code enforcement to enforce.
Right. So it's a no-lose area. It's a tough one, and it's always at the bottom, but it is something to look at.
And sometimes this word of mouth, that somebody had somebody,
It's
had
a
a
tough one.
problem, and it's not a first person.
By and large, I see
experience.
things are going pretty well. Animal control has a few larger negatives than but I understand that one as well. But anyway, just you're doing pretty good as a city overall.
I got something to say about the library, it's really interesting, because the one using the library rate is really good. But on the other one, where it said that about the library, how you rate it, it wasn't rated very good, but it wasn't people using it, didn't rate it. The ones that are using it love it, the ones that don't use it say it's not.
I think it's a fair point.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really fair point. Yeah. And that's actually why it's important to have the people who actually do things or care about it,
It is. Yeah, I got to see this prior to, and that was pretty.
The bottom two.
Huh?
I get the bottom two. Yeah.
Yeah, the bottom two, justice court's always a tough one. And then also, if you don't have very many ratings, maybe we don't do it in the future, but 20 is okay. You're getting a rating from 20 different citizens in here. Okay. Now, the next thing we did was we just ask some specific new questions. The survey is relatively short. You can get through it in about 8 or 9 minutes, maybe it's whatever. And then we had 3 minutes for additional questions. And these are unique questions to your city. And then, so on this one, we asked, look at the ideas. Which ones do you feel would be worth using city revenues to develop and maintain? So is it worth using city revenues to do this, right? And here's the list here, and completing curb, gutter, and sidewalks throughout the city was really a high rating. I don't know, where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$45 million.
It's expensive, so you might want to prioritize where and how, but there's a fair amount of appeal for it.
And
Right on the side of the road.
a lot of them want it, but they don't want to pay for it, and they don't
No,
want the
I think
taxes used either.
That's the challenge, but there is a lot of there's a lot of appeal for it. So out of 1,600 people, about half said that one, right?
I only did it 19.
And by the way, this is one where you might want to say, well, what about the people in area 6? And we could do that, by the way, and they may.
I like the mothers with children, or just people with children.
Yeah, is this the?
Children at home.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So if they have children at home, what happens? Well, it stayed about the same, but the rec center goes up. Right? Yeah, and I think it's really meaningful. And also,
I like that you can manipulate those.
yeah, and if you go, well, what about people who are a little bit younger? What do they care about, right? And so we'll let's say grab everybody 18 to 39, which is a big group. And what do the younger people feel? And they want that rec center too.
They still want the curb and gutter though at 43%.
Yeah. So this is really helpful to understand where the demands are, what they need.
What does section 6 say? I would like to see that.
Yeah, hold on while I do that. I don't think I can turn them all off at once. I can't. So I'm gonna just have to slowly go down here and turn them off. And by the way, let me tell you that when you get this, you can turn off area, and just have it be area 6 for everything. And then on every page when you go through,
It'll just show that 6.
yeah, so we can go through every page and just see area 6, right? And they want the rec center more than the complete GURB, but there's support for it over there.
But they did like the golf course.
Not so much.
That's amazing.
They golf in the pastures.
Okay. The next thing we asked is you put on a lot of city events throughout the course of a year. Onion Days down to Western Heritage Night, right? So you put on a lot of them, and we asked people which ones are very important to your family. And Onion Days, well, of course, you know how important that is, but so are some of the others really important. And some of them are used a little bit less. And if they are used less, I don't think that's good or bad. It just means that maybe we haven't found a way to make it important to more people. Right. And maybe there's some thought as to how we can improve some of these things, but here's the order of importance for people. And the big 4 are probably the ones you would have expected. But
What are they? I can't see them.
any questions on that? All righty. There's a desire, and this was a unique question for Payson. We have not asked it anywhere before, but which of these do you feel should the city invest in to preserve the small town feel? Small town feel was important. And it was one of the few things, more and wider sidewalks and or trails throughout the city. So they can walk around, visit, talk, chit chat. You've done some wonderful things here, by the way. You've done much better than my city's done. And that's important.
We just completed a trail that has been under, scrutiny for almost 20 years, and we've been able to complete.
It's a beautiful trail too. It's so cool what you've done. So, and by the way, I will say with Elk Ridge, when we asked something similar, like the importance of new investment trails were the top three. There was trails up to Four Bay, which we'd love to work with you on. There was trails that connect to other trails, other cities. Like how do we connect in with other cities? And then there was simply trails within the city. And all three of those were the top. And we tested a lot of other ideas that were good, but the trails were important. That's important here too. So, and then I thought agriculture protection was really an important one and an interesting one for you to see that.
That probably comes from SIP.
It could be. And then I want to show one other one. We have adventure days coming up. There were a lot of ideas under consideration for the adventure days. And so we just asked them which would be most appealing to your household. So they picked the ones that were most appealing. I don't know if this might help you as you make some decisions on what to do, but I thought it was a very interesting question. Now, I'm going to show you one thing that I skipped over up here. When we asked, would you refer the city to a friend? We also asked why. And this could be a positive or a negative. And these were just comments. And so we took the comments, but there's 1,607 comments and nobody wants to read 1,607 comments. So what we did do was we grouped them into categories. So we read them, we grouped them into categories. And if it's got a down arrow, they were typically saying, you know, I wish you'd fix this, or there's a concern about that. And if it has a smiley face, and you might not be able to tell, but that's a smiley face here, these are the things that they love, right? And that they're positive on. So here's the list of things, and it's in order of what things were mentioned. And then we go to the detail page, which is on the next page. And this detail page has the actual comments in it. And what we do is we have the comment. We also have the age of the individual, 25 to 39, a male, and how long they've lived in the city. So we have that here for you. And so if you have any topic you want to go into more detail on, let's say a business district here, right? You can go over this page and we can click on the business district here, concerns, business district, and we can turn that on. And then you get all of the people who mentioned business district. And they might have mentioned 5 things, but if they did mention the business district, they're in here, and they'd be in 5 other places as well. But this is really, it might be helpful to you at some point to pick a topic where it's a concern and get your minds around it, because you'll have 40 and 100 comments, you know, on some of these. So I think that's important. We did one other thing. We said, do you have anything more to say to city leaders? And so if they did, and there were only 510 who had a comment, so about 1/3 left an additional comment, not everybody. And if they did, we grouped it here into categories like taxes, keep the taxes under control. So that's the biggest concern. I like that if they commented, but they talked about roads and parks and crowding and construction. And then if they did, you can go to a detailed page that follows and read those comments specifically by saying, oh, I would like to look at, you know, certain ones. And so you can pick any of the details down below and look at them. Now, I do want to say, in general, don't nitpick on individual comments, but rather look for themes, because you can get lost in the individual comments. You say, oh, I know who that was, or you know what I mean, or they don't understand. So
Commented is number 94. Please put a dog park.
please put in a dog park. Here it is. And by the way, this number here doesn't mean anything. The number is the 3rd person who responded in the survey, the 14th person, the 29th person. So this is not a tally. It's just, and I can't get rid of it. It's part of the software, and I wish it wasn't. But I'll have to fix that. But
That's how many respondents.
it's not. It's not. This is just an individual. And I probably ought to put a footnote here that explains that, because people could misunderstand in the city. And so I'll have that here. But you can scroll down through them and you can have them. Now here, as we come to the end of this, I'd like to make a comment. It's rare, like you hear from people here, it's rare that you get a nice big overview. And I would try to stay big picture in general when you're using this. I try to stay big picture, help you think of larger themes, where to go. You'll see some comments where you'll see people complain about the city council or the mayor. Don't take them, you get that here, right? Don't take it too personally. So just allow them to be, you know what I mean? But there are things that are super helpful and useful. And you can use this all year long. Like you can come back to this again and again whenever you come to a topic, and you can find yourselves refocusing, staying, you know, on top of things, and you'll find it very useful. So anyway, it's a pleasure to do work for your city. Now, any questions, and I'll help you with anything you might want to know.
Council, any questions? I think it's been a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. How do we get to that? link?
Yeah, we'll send you this link, and then as soon as Dave's ready, they'll put it out on the website and the citizens can see it. And what most cities have done is they say, thank you for the survey. Here are a few things that we think about as a city council, and then look at the results. You know what I mean? And you can do that. But your results are more positive than negative, and certainly you're in a good position.
Okay, thank you very much. Council, I would ask you at this point if you could let me deviate from the agenda. I would appreciate that.
Make a motion that we allow the mayor to, we suspend the agenda and allow the mayor to move at his discretion.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Would like to at this time move to number 2 on the action items. No, where we need to go. Which number 2? Okay, public hearing / ordinance vacation of 1500 East right of way regarding South Haven Farms. Jill?
We need to
Okay,
open a
Mayor.
public hearing.
Kim, will you allow me
We
to
will.
Okay, yeah.
share?
Jeff, thank you for being patient with us.
Bless you, thank you. I took the survey. I'm probably one of the people they kicked out because I don't actually live there.
It's still showing.
They put you in group 6.
I was happy.
Happy
Let's-
cows live out there.
Yep, it did. Thank you. Mayor and City Councilors, thank you for changing the order here so we can get an applicant on his way and we can take a little bit more time on the next agenda items. I'm going to give a little overview on this request, the petition that's been submitted by the applicant, but then I have asked the applicant, Jeff Southard, to come and give a little bit of the background of, you know, how we got to this point in requesting an adjustment to some of this right of way. So I'll provide a couple of slides and then we'll give him an opportunity to speak before you make a decision on this. So the request is to, we've received a petition to vacate some right of way that's been dedicated to Payson City for a future road. And so I'll give a little overview on this, just to give the regional perspective, because this all has to do with the new interchange and with the Nebo Beltway that's going to come down through the East Fields. So here's the future interchange on I-15 coming down past Arrowhead Trail Road and then continuing down to connect at a future 4-way intersection at SR 198. So the South Haven Farms development is located on the southwest corner of that future interchange. So you've seen a lot of the development that's been happening in that area. And so just to give the regional perspective, because that will probably answer some of the questions of why we're asking you for this approval tonight. So moving on, in 2020, there was a subdivision that was recorded for the South Haven Farms development. So it was 4 large super pads that were incorporated here in this northeast parcel here. Sorry, my connection is unstable. Anyway, but you've got, maybe it'll go back. So this area, this lot here is dedicated to commercial. So there's no commercial there now. That lot is vacant. On this lot here, there is a 55 plus development, four-story apartment building that's accommodated on there. There's additional land that can be developed for other uses in that particular area, but that's the development we've seen so far. You have the Velo townhomes that's located here. Those townhomes are under construction. Some of the units are completed. I'm not sure if any of them are occupied, but nearing completion on a lot of those buildings. And then you have the residents at South Haven Farms on this lot here that the applicant is developing, and that is rental apartments on that particular leg or, or quadrant, I guess, of this overall development. So as part of this development plat that was recorded in 2020, we weren't quite sure exactly how the alignment of the Nebo Beltway would come in relative to SR 198. So as part of this, as part of the annexation approval and as part of this development, the applicant was required to dedicate right of way to Payson City in order for 1500 East to be expanded to connect to that regional road system. So it's not only what's going to go north of SR 198, but there's even a regional facility. 1500 East is going to be a regional facility extending to the south and eventually to Elk Ridge and Woodland Hills. So it's this all big picture. And this is Payson's portion of that we're trying to secure. And so the applicant did dedicate that land to the city back with that plat. Since that time, well, going back to the Nebo Beltway and looking how it relates to SR 198, what's here in the purple, so the applicant's requesting to vacate portions of 1500 East between SR 198 and First South. So just to orient everyone, here is SR 198, here's the commercial parcel, and then here's First South down here. The applicant did develop a new road, 50 South, located in the center of the development. But as what is being proposed is that the land shown here in purple that is currently dedicated to Payson City as part of the plat, that it will be relinquished back to the applicant, not needed in order to widen this facility here. And then he would dedicate, the applicant also owns this parcel here. It was annexed after this development here, owns this piece. And so there was shifting. So instead of the right of way being on the west side of 1500 East, it is shifting to the east side of 1500 East, which will allow for a better intersection at SR 198. And again, because of that shift, this section here is no longer needed along the frontage of the residence at South Haven Farms. So that's it in a nutshell. As far as steps moving forward, once the applicant presents something to you and you make a decision on this, if the council was ready to, if they were willing to move forward on the vacation of this right of way, the applicant has prepared plats that will be recorded, and then also deeds will need to be prepared because plats don't convey ownership. So deeds would have to be created to deed the property from Payson City to South Haven Farms. And then this would be deeded from South Haven Farms or the LLC that's created for that property and deeded to Payson City. So with that, Jeff Southard is here. Jeff Southard is, unless you have questions for staff, but Jeff may want to fill in some blanks and a little bit of history there with what was discussed with staff leading up to this point.
I'm just, my only concern, I like that. I think it's forward thinking and I appreciate that, to make sure that that kind of softens that bend, because it's not going to hit it at 90 without it. But it's the property between 50 South and 100 South west of 1500 East that has me concerned, because that purple strip that's now on the east side, west side's got to be moved to the east side. Who owns that property? Is that going to be detrimental to them in developing it in the future? Or is it still a viable piece over
That
there?
property, I can't remember the applicant or the property owner's name. It has not been annexed yet, but all of it's coming back to, and Jeff will mention this as well, is it's coming back to the alignment of that road. I
Right.
mean, we've got to make sure that it comes in at the right alignment. You've got the right, you've got to have the right radius and extend it. I don't know what the speeds of this road will be in the future. But there is still a strip of land here. It's really hard to see. Maybe you can see it in your packet. There's still a strip of land here that's Payson City's that will accommodate. So there's a trail that will be along 500 or 1500 East. Applicant will be improving that trail
On the west side?
in the spring. So on the west side. So it's
Okay.
really hard to see here, but what is behind what's needed for the right of way, we're still keeping a portion of it. What is not needed, what is outside of the curb and gutter and the trail is what is proposed to be deeded back to the applicant.
I think it's great forward thinking and I appreciate it.
And let me address your question a little bit too. Up here, most of what we're doing is for that alignment so that it hits it at more of a 90-degree angle and is a little safer than just, going straight north-south, which hits it at a funny angle. But part of what also happened back when this was approved, can I say Nestor's name?
Absolutely.
Okay. When Nestor was here,
Sure, you can say that.
staff,
Staff.
when other staff members were here, the original dedication was based on a road width that is the road width north of the highway or of State Street. Does that make sense? So we had, I want to say, is it 4 lanes each way? No. Now I'm going to get confused because we were confused before, but up here, you've got 2 lanes and a middle lane and 2 lanes. So I think it's 5 lanes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And they carried that same width through down here, but that's not what was planned. And we didn't catch it till after the plat was recorded. So we've known this for quite some time, but we've just barely figured out, okay, let's get this solved before it becomes too late. So you were asking about the road width here. This road needs to be widened. It just doesn't need to be widened as much as was initially anticipated. Does that make sense? So this side, his property is going to have to be widened no matter what. It's his widening is not due to that change in, I'm not an engineer, arc in the cross section. Does that make sense? Whatever he gives up on his side will be the same as it would have to be anyways. That's really only affecting up here. And the good news is because we own this property and this property, it was easy for us to make that realignment so that it works better hitting State Street.
Don't you think a steakhouse would be good there?
I think it'd be awesome. Once the Parkway.
We're working on it real hard. We're getting some good
So our
vibes.
plan, we've had some people offer us, but everybody wants to steal this land knowing that Parkway is coming. We're just going to sit on it until it makes sense and is ready to be developed. So
You did hear the mayor was in the back room with brass knuckles today.
good.
Duking it out. I've only got one comment, if I may.
Go.
Jill, can we make that a condition of annexation? That when we annex that piece of property,
Over here.
yes, that right of way that Jeff's given us on his property continues to the south.
And we could, and that's what we did with Jeff.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So I would
it
assume.
would
I-
be
I think we-
following-
But it would be that little strip there that you're not giving us back all of the right of way we gave you because we widened the road.
Right,
And so he'd be giving up the portion that he would need to widen the
Anyhow.
road.
that's correct.
And it's less than we did because the road's not as wide as we thought.
Well, but that eventually is going to go all the way to Elk Ridge. Am I not correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
I think to St. George.
It's not going through my canyon, as long as I'm still alive. No, I just think we ought to be very wise in when that plat does come in for a request, which I'm sure it's going to come shortly. We might now, but we all know that real estate doesn't stay paused too long. That we do request that he dedicate that portion to widen the road. And I don't want to overkill it, but I don't think you can overkill a PUE and road width for future growth.
And
Make
that's
sure
what
you
we
have enough.
did. I'm sure that's what staff will plan.
Did I say that
for.
right? PUE is public utility easement?
But it's right.
A right of way.
Right of way. Okay, right of way. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Okay.
a right of way then.
So when this is done, you actually move forward with that, you'll have to shift. Because you'll have payment on your property. According to that plan, the little.
Up here.
Yeah, right
Right.
up there.
Right. I could never be a surgeon. I'm not very steady, but right there, you're right. So it will all have to be kind of redone and realigned.
So if you
when you do that and push that bubble out, you have to move that road.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're ready for to open a public hearing.
Well,
There is a Salem Canal ditch that runs right there along that field.
I know we had to pipe it here and take it across and pipe it that way. But when you do this side, that will have to happen again
Ditch right where your red line is.
up here. And it'll have to be piped when we do that.
So Salem Canal tells you all the things. Dr. Tom will tell you all that.
And I know we had to
Okay.
do that here when we did this, so it wouldn't be any different than that, I think.
We still have to do a public hearing,
Oh.
and if you want to talk about that in the public hearing, we're more than happy to do
absolutely.
that.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay,
I move that we open the public hearing.
I'll second that.
okay, I have a motion been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We're opening a public hearing. We'd like to, gentlemen, if you would like to step to the mic and state your name and try to keep your comments succinct if you could, and we'll allow you whether you disagree or agree just a little bit more than that we generally allow. So come on up and let us know.
And while he comes up, this is a good reminder that it is a public hearing. State code does require certain notification requirements. We did have to reach out to the affected entities to let them know about this proposal. Those right of ways and public utility easements are utilized by other utility companies other than Payson City.
Yeah.
And so we appreciate him coming in and making these comments and making sure they're on the record. So as we see additional development, we're making sure that those utility companies are accommodated as
Okay.
well.
Right.
Thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah, so I'm Cody Orton with Salem Canal, and that's about what we have is there's a ditch that needs to be addressed. Our biggest concern with it is on the south side of that project is we have a ditch running this way that they piped and they hit it 4 times last year while it was getting developed, and they have a electric line running right against our pipe. So that's something that we need to have Payson City help us out as a canal company and make sure that doesn't happen on our easements and on our pipelines, because going forward, our ditches are going to get piped. We understand that, but we're a small company and we don't have blue stakes. We don't have that amenity to go out and stake all that. Salem City's been really good to include that into their staking and into their, what are they called? Utilities to make sure where they're at. But anyways, that was just something we need to pay attention to.
Have we been GISing them when we find those and hit it?
What's that?
Have they been?
Well, it was on your guys' plat.
Okay.
It was on your plat. And like I said, they hit it, called me, said, hey, we hit this. We paid for it, fixed it. Not 2 days later, they hit it again. They hit it 2 more times. And well, it wasn't blue staked is what they trusted. Well, everybody knew it was there. It was just barely put in. And so that's our biggest concern as a canal company going forward is we got to have the cities help back us on our pipes going in and out if we can.
Okay. I appreciate your comment. That's very appropriate.
And I don't know who I still need to map out where all the ditches are. And I've had a meeting with the city a year or so ago and I haven't finished that. But anyways, we need to get that to you guys and so we can get them all of our ditches on the
Okay.
on your
And
GIS.
we can make a motion specifying that.
So, okay.
Don't we GIS all that when
You
it's put
should
in, don't
be,
we?
yep. But like I said, my concern is on that south side. It was GIS on your plat and they still beat it up.
Well,
And
when
they
you
put
call
their-
for a blue stake, we should mark that.
And that's something we had a discussion with Payson and I don't know who it was that told me, said, well, that's not our utilities. We're not going to do it. And as a canal company, we're asking you guys to be on our side with it. And you guys are out there blue staking it anyways to help us out and maybe include that with your utilities if that is a possibility.
I think that's a no-brainer, isn't it?
So-
Who told you we're not going to do it?
I can't remember who it was. I could probably go back and look, but that was something that's your utilities.
Well, if
Who's your city manager?
City manager is Dave right there.
Well, it's not you. It
It'd
wasn't
be our
Dave.
city engineer.
Engineer. That's who it was. What's his name? Anyways, Travis. Travis is one that flat out told me he wouldn't do it. And we understand that is
But
our
if we GIS
utilities.
it On our plat.
It just means that we know where it's at, but it doesn't mean we're responsible for doing
No, and that's true.
That's a legal, that's a legal.
Yeah, because we get into liability.
Yeah, but shouldn't the
But I'm trying to be a good neighbor to this, to the Salem Canal.
There's no problem being a good neighbor, but we, Jason, we don't want to take that liability for something that we don't own.
Why Salem
So-
decides to do it, I don't know.
So
Because if
here's-
if we blue stake it wrong. by
Right.
Some reason and causes a whole bunch of damage, then we are responsible because our person.
So
did it.
this is what I propose, leave our ditches open wherever they're at.
Well, under state law, that's not an option either.
So, oh,
Because
that,
under state law.
I understand
developer
that.
Is to give them notice. And then developer must do what it is to protect
That
the
utility,
system.
yeah.
And the system protection, in most developments nowadays, is piping in and underground. That's
and
that's
then,
state law now. That was put in about 10 years ago to protect, because what was happening is developers were coming in and disturbing
The ditch banks.
ditch companies
Yeah.
and not doing anything about it.
Right.
And that was the remedy was, no, you need to notify them now. You need to make sure that they understand. And then you as developer must pay for the putting in a pipe and burying the pipe.
but if these are all GPS, then it's not that hard to know where they're at. Is it not true? I understand the liability side of it. I get it. But what liability is there? There should be a minimal on your guys' side and we would take responsibility also.
Why
we
don't
just
we,
need some
why don't
help
we
with-
leave this for staff to work
But
out?
anyways, if you guys can discuss it, look at it,
Yeah.
we could use the
Well-
help as far as, because as this expands, as you guys move further into Salem, we have a ditch on every single road. And then they expand to the north. And it's just more and
Yeah.
more of a headache and.
Well,
and-
you hear the council wanting to be a good neighbor?
Yeah, I
We-
get
We
it.
definitely do.
Yep.
So let's let staff.
Well, look
remind-
at it, and I don't mean to be a jerk either. I
No,
just-
you're being
We just
fine.
need some help, is what I'm saying on these blue stake things, if we can know where they're at.
Not to say anything, but he said when they broke his pipe, they hit it. They paid for it.
We did.
We should have done that.
They should have paid for it.
They should have, but what we got back is it wasn't blue staked. And that's what we get. It wasn't blue staked. And so we had the same problem. Our main canal goes up past Ivan Haskell's house and then cuts back down through the hospital. We had I don't know the whole details on it, but there was a guy that put in a retaining wall in his backyard, ripped out our whole pipe. And he told us to pound sand because it wasn't blue staked. So anyways, I don't know how to get around it and make it to where everything's at. But we need Payson City to help us to get everything on the plats and then see who has the liability on when they do rip up our pipes.
Well,
And as
I
far as
think
liability goes, the water's
take
not
care of
always
that.
running
I
through these
think
pipes
we'll
either.
ask
But
that.
anyways,
Okay, we got it.
We got it.
Yep.
so anyways,
Thank you.
Well, just as a follow-up, I mean, I know that staff did meet with Mr. Orton about a year ago, and it sounds like it's time to, there's been some other instances where, maybe better communication would have helped us. And so, yeah, we'll just, as staff, we can reach out to the engineering department and to Salem Canal and see if we can find, some way to work together, because yeah, even on the west side, then we have Highline,
Yeah.
and we've created a really good relationship with the Highline Canal Company,
Yeah.
and we want to continue having a great relationship
Yep.
with Salem Canal. And
Yep.
so we'll have those discussions at a staff level.
Does
Okay.
Highline GPS their things?
I don't think they're GPSing, but I think that
Do they blue
but I
stake?
think their maps, that they have taken the effort to put, put some of their system on maps.
Yeah.
So we're more aware of that. Whether or not they're participating in Blue Stake, I'm not sure. But again, that's why we involve these affected entities when we're making adjustments like this, because we may not know, what's underground or
growing
what needs to be
pains.
accommodated.
Yeah, let's
So-
let
So we'll
staff
just keep on having
deal
those-
with this
Yep.
and knowing that council is all unison on wanting to be a good neighbor with Salem Canal.
Cody, I have a quick question for you though. As this development goes out there, how many of these ditches are being abandoned and are they very few there?
anyone that runs north and south will not be ever abandoned or used. But so the south.
Don't say ever.
The south one runs east and west along the south side of the development that goes over to about
Yeah.
That will be
So,
abandoned
right here.
when he develops that.
Across the street.
And that's one reason why we didn't throw too big of a fit to make up the electrical line. I mean, it's literally sitting on top of the pipe. And they have junction boxes right on top of our pipe also.
Okay.
I mean, right on top.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think it's important to remember and to know where those right of ways are. And so we'll figure something out.
And the other thing you gotta think about is your guys' storm drainage. If you abandon a ditch, those ditches have been there for 100 years, and the old timers put them there for watering fields and for drainage. So that's something I would never abandon a ditch ever. I would turn them over to the city and that's what we've done with Salem and they take over the ditches. If you guys have got to look into take over ditches that might be abandoned.
We have city engineer. What are we paying?
In my opinion. I agree.
Hello?
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I believe
Cody.
we have a city engineer that could help remedy this. We have the staff that can
Yeah,
remedy this.
So we can,
okay, is there any other, anybody else want to comment in this public hearing? Anybody online? Okay, then I'll accept a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, do we have any further discussions or addition to a motion?
Mayor, the only thing I would mention is the petition itself is to vacate the portions. And so that definitely has to be included in the motion. But because the applicant is dedicating property to the city also, I'd include that we're accepting the dedication of
Okay.
that land.
Has staff reviewed the plats that are drawn
Yes.
and they're
Staff,
acceptable?
staff has reviewed that and we've determined that they have included or excluded the property necessary to complete this transaction.
Okay, then I'd ask the council to make the motion to include those things in the motion.
I'll make the motion that we accept the vacation of, let's see, I want to use this, that we accept the plat that staff has reviewed for the purpose of vacating and for dedicating property to and from Payson City for the right of way regarding South Haven as plat indicates.
Or 1500
On
east.
1500 East.
I'll second that. That was beautiful.
Okay, we have a motion been seconded, roll call vote starting. Christensen, that says it's beautiful.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Council Carter.
Yes.
Council Prosgaard,
Yes.
Council Hyatt. Motion carries. Jeff, thank you. Sir, I didn't catch your name, but thank you for being here. Cody, thank you for being here.
Hey, there's a lull. I want to go back to the survey because I want to talk about recycling.
No, we're not going to do that no more.
No.
Just
I
30
have to
seconds.
leave.
You got it?
So let's get the action items done. Then you can talk about it.
You told me no, I stopped.
I was joking with you.
Number one.
Yeah, we need to go to
Seven.
action item number 1. Resolution Economic Development Board appointments. Dave,
One.
that the one we want to go to? Do
Do that quickly. We got number 7.
you want to do number 7?
I don't have a number 7.
Yes, the food hall.
No, back here to number 7. Yes, okay, we didn't do that, did we? Okay, let's do that one.
Mayor and council, we have had an architect do some preliminary work on the proposed food hall down the building down on Main Street that we bought. We wanted them to kind of present to you what they've done so far. And so are you guys online? There they are. Kim, can you see that? MJSA is their name on there.
Yeah, we're here.
We're going to allow you to share your screen. Just give us a minute and you can share your screen and then maybe if you could just introduce yourselves to the council and jump right in. I appreciate it.
Great. Hello, everybody. My name is Ken Eng. I am one of the principals here at MJSA Architects. Ralph, my partner, is the other principal. And what we have here with us, a young and very bright architect, Perry Martin. And we have one other person on our team. but she's not here. It's Julianne Henson. Anyway, a little bit about us. We are a 49-year-old firm, and I've been with this firm since 1985. We have designed over 100 restaurants, and before COVID started, I can sit here and say 95% of our restaurants were very successful and were in business. And we started that back in 1989. So when we designed our first restaurant, and I was instrumental in that particular restaurant. Anyway, and there was no closures between since 2006 until COVID hit us. And at that time, a few of the restaurateurs, they were older now. They've been in business 30, 40 years, and they have decided to kind of retire. Anyway, we have some of the notable projects that we have, or one of the notable projects, which is very similar to this, in Salt Lake City is the Food Alley. There was a great write-up on it. The owner is still constructing it. She got into, crazy enough, she got into the cannabis business and she has to develop that. But she's coming back to it. I just spoke with her the other day. She says she's going to start now that that business is going, and it's medical cannabis that she's selling. Anyway, so in a way, we are actually segueing into the things that Brian was talking about just now. And it's our goal. And we see this project as a way to literally improve historic downtown in Payson City. And one of the things that we felt would be critical, and we have this is kind of the things that put us on the map in the past, is because when we put together projects like this, these are the type of projects that actually improve your tax basis in the city, which really allows you to do a lot of the projects, the parks, the recreation, things and street improvements and things of that nature. So this is kind of the investment into the city that's going to improve the bottom line for you. And we truly believe this is going to be a very, very successful project for you. One of the reasons is that we've been doing this for many, many years, and we are kind of the trendsetters in the direction of eateries and retails and whatnot. Gone are the old way of doing things when everybody have their own 1,500 square feet store, and you as you walk down the street, you're thinking, well, what are they selling? You have no idea what they're selling, and it's a little bit kind of that adventure to have to venture into the door. And as you know, as you go and walk behind the doors, it might not be products you like, or maybe, but either way, somebody's going to latch on you and trying to sell you some product that you may or may not need. So that kind of, which led us to what we practice behavioral architecture. And behavioral architecture is about breaking down those barriers. Breaking down is kind of barrier-free design, not in the ADA sense, but in the sense what takes you into a space and allows you to linger into those spaces. And that's what we are doing with this food hall in Payson City. Some of the other things that we want to talk about is you have an identity, home to adventure. That's your branding. And basically it is about an experience. What we have done with our restaurants and our retail spaces in the past is always also talk about presenting an experience. It's kind of it's the things that everybody is looking for. And in this particular case, we are talking about creating an experience, and that experience, the feeling is that what we call rugged high fashion. Anyway, with that, I'm going to pass it to Perry, who's going to make that presentation for you. We are pulling it up on the screen right now.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay. So just to review, the site for this project is located on Main Street, right across, or to the north of the library, across from the alleyway connection. So when thinking about how we wanted to approach this project, we began looking into sort of what the identity of Payson had been and is aiming for. Through scouring the historical blogs and images, we found that as a frontier town in its founding, it has always been home to adventure, a place where you can return to something familiar, like a base camp. Payson also acts as a gateway to the mountains and vast high desert landscapes. These concepts you see on the screen are something that we return to again and again through our design process. We began to think about how those concepts could take an aesthetic shape. We found ourselves drawn to these three images. This first image here evokes a sense of familiarity, returning to a place that feels like home, that is comforting. The second image below it really has a great expression of freedom and adventure. And the third image here is a deep connection to the wild and magnificent landscapes of Utah. To begin thinking about material and the concept of rugged high fashion, we felt like we had to acknowledge a traditional material palette that you might expect to find in a frontier town. This would include a strong historic brick paired with well-worn leather and brass accents, wood in various stages of weather, and natural fibers. We intend to use these materials to evoke an emotion that is connected to the past, but brought to the present with modern silhouettes and design. When looking at precedent, we felt that these projects gave energy and also a sense of discovery. Looking at Tokyo at night, the streets of Tokyo are an inspiration to discovery and exploration. In the image alone, you really can feel the energy coming through. There is so much going on that you almost want to walk into the photograph and check out each stall. In the Sawmill Market, which is located in Albuquerque, we felt that this project encourages a sense of exploration, but also that the materials used in this process were really appropriate for the Western city that Albuquerque is. La Boqueria in Barcelona is a very fast-paced European market. And this image really shows that even in the hustle and bustle of a fast-paced market, you can find a home base to enjoy some food or something to drink. And then right here, the Bowery project in New York City. This project is interesting and something that we were looking into because it really forces exploration through non-traditional circulations. Of course, no good food hall would be complete without good food concepts. We wanted to introduce a mix of food that was familiar, that someone could return to and have that comfort at the end of a long day out in the mountains, but also introduce and encourage exploration for patrons to go on their own multicultural culinary adventure. Okay, we're gonna now move into our conceptual floor plans, and I will walk you through all of the levels. So this is the main level, the entrance, this is Main Street right here, alleyway is here, the library is just beyond, you can't quite see. The main entrance to this building is through the alleyway. We have worked closely with the landscape architects who have developed their overall master plan to make sure our alleyway was connected with their design, but still encouraged exploration through the way that you access this alleyway. As you enter the alleyway through the arches, you are greeted by a lovely little oasis. With built-in seating and trees, this becomes a nice place to sit outside, enjoy food from inside. We envision this alley to be a connector between the library and the food hall. In our design, we have provided spaces for future library openings and connections here and here. As you enter into the main level, you're greeted immediately by something familiar, a place to get something to drink. We wanted this at the front because entering into these spaces where there's so many choices can be a little bit intimidating and overwhelming. It's a nice way to break the ice with something simple like lemonade or soda. Now with your refreshment, you can wander. You are drawn into the space by the energy that is giving off. You wander through seating varieties and layers of smell as you were drawn around each corner by your own curiosity. You can see these small, intimate living room-like spaces, which would be a great place to work, but also these larger areas where you could envision taking your family out to dinner or lunch. You continue to wander through the stalls that are adorned with local art, connecting to the local theater scene. Finally, you make your way around the back, and it really opens up into this wonderful shaded patio that's elevated above the parking lot, and you can watch people come and go to and from the theater. We just want to point out in this case that we would be eating up 6 parking stalls, but we feel that though we're eating up the parking stalls, having this back patio that's sort of a visual connector between the theater and the food hall is incredibly important. Okay, moving on to.
Actually, let me add a little bit to that.
Okay.
So let's come back one more. Okay, perfect. And to add to that a little bit, the whole idea is, as a matter of fact, we were thinking of naming this space, this drink fountain or lemonade stand, calling it Break the Ice. So anyway, there's an access way to kind of a speakeasy lounge below. There's a flower shop here. This is kind of a high top. These high top bench is really purposeful because someone's not walking by you. If you're sitting down at a typical chair, their butt will be in your face. But this, you're sitting up high and you're looking at people face to face, eye to eye, so to speak. There's an arts and crafts shops in here. There are the local retail elements in here as well. So it's not just a food hall, so to speak. It's something that begs for exploration. And as you can see, as you walk around, these little kiosks are situated such that you can literally kind of come around. It squeezes you a little bit. For the ADA public, there are ways to get around the place. But at the same time, for the kids who wants to get between 2 kiosks and kind of walk through, and there's all these different food type that one can experience, and that allows the space to stay fresh. Very simply, we could have put the stalls around the edge and have a big open space, but that's too predictable. And as you go in there, as you walk through that space, you would get it, and the intrigue and that experience would not be there. So anyway, pass it back to you.
Thanks, Ken. So moving into the basement, taking this main staircase here down to the basement, you find yourself sort of in a multifunctional space. The first thing to note is this teaching kitchen in the center. The teaching kitchen is for food-centered learning, but can also be rented to anyone who needed it for larger kitchen projects, like canning was mentioned in one of our meetings.
Or even somebody's birthday parties.
Renting it out, catering. Behind the teaching kitchen is a lounge / private dining room. So the concept behind this space is that it can be seating for the food hall above, but somebody could also rent out this space and have and do a private dinner with one of the chefs from upstairs. Now we move into the hidden saloon area, which is again accessed through that the flower shop behind a wall of flower display. The hidden saloon has this panelized wall that can be opened up in the case that maybe this space is rented out for a larger event and you need overflow seating or overflow prep and food display space. This commissary kitchen would be stacked with state-of-the-art equipment and provide the chefs, the new and experienced chefs, with clean, modern, and inspiring place to practice their craft. And then for the bathrooms, we have 2 different types. We have family restrooms for families that need a little bit more privacy, and common bathrooms with a shared sink and private stalls. Okay, now we're gonna hop in the elevator here and go all the way to the roof. So the rooftop serves as another multifunctional space, providing more seating under a covered trellis for the food hall. This space can also be rented out for weddings, birthdays, graduations, etc. There's a magnificent view of the mountains to the southeast, and it does sit above downtown. So it was mentioned in another meeting that would be a great place to watch fireworks, or a great place to just watch Payson on a summer evening in the downtown and watch people flow from the theater to the food hall and on Main Street as well. So with the elevations, we wanted to give them an update with newer openings, but keep the historical feel through carefully designed window systems, and also really separating the new volumes that would be the elevator and the staircases by creating an all glass structure. We also see these brick faces as an opportunity for local signage that would turn the building into a work of art and give it a great street presence, but keep it within the local historical context, that sort of
The quaintness
the
of
quaintness, yes, exactly. And then just to orient everyone, this is the alleyway here, and this is the library. And this archway is a light fixture that actually mimics the existing archways, to create a sense of enclosure and to give us a little bit more comfort at night, but also a nice lit passageway onto Main Street. And then our final slide is just a elevation looking at the main entrance through the alleyway, so you can really see how there's we're encouraging different types of seating, and there's a lot of landscape going on. So
It is all about the experience. Let's go back to the main level floor plan. I want to talk about the back a little bit. So one of the things that we didn't talk about really is this outdoor seating here in the back. The parking lots back here, we are taking, there are about 6 stalls back here that we like to kind of take away from the parking and add this outdoor dining area here. This dining is literally raised above it's the same level as the building, which is approximately 2 foot above the parking level. And with some planting elements here, you will feel, when you're in this space in the back, you will feel completely separated. As a matter of fact, there will be enough screenage from this patio looking out. So basically, you're picking up the tops of the city, the tops of the buildings around the city, and the mountains beyond. So, and then there will be a trellis there's a covered trellis above it that is going to extend the outdoor dining season for us. And with that, that's kind of concludes our presentation. Questions?
I have a couple. Sorry.
Yes, please.
First of all, not super excited to lose 6 parking stalls, because we just eliminated a whole bunch on Main Street. So a little bit of a concern. So as a council, I think we need to discuss that and see if that's really the route we want to go. But there's outdoor seating on the roof. To me, that should be adequate, but that's, up for discussion. And then the other one was, I didn't like the bathroom downstairs. Fairly conservative region that we're in. I don't know if it would fly very well.
Yeah, that's not really an issue. That's just some initial ideas that we threw out there. That can easily be converted back to. It would take up a little bit more space. We can go to a traditional setup. The men and women with
men and women. So we're getting pretty unanimous head shake on that one.
And then families.
Yeah. Even if there was one family and then men and women's, I'd be okay with the same square footage being used that way, but.
Exactly. Agreed. So, that's just something we threw out there, and that we'll wait another few generations.
So is your speakeasy, can we talk a little bit about the speakeasy? Is it actually like a bar, or what were you looking at?
We don't know what it's going to be. We just putting the concepts out there.
Okay.
It depends, because we are hoping that there will be visitors coming in from out of town. And for the most part, I can see dirty drinks, the Coca-Cola, mixed with sodas and whatnot.
Yeah, dirty sodas, I got you.
Yeah, but at the same time, we want this kind of lounge feel, saloon feel to it, that old west look and feel. It's like as though you walk in there and you expect Clint Eastwood to walk out from behind the doors or something. So it's a look and feel that we are after. But at the same time, I'm not sure what that who's going to operate it and what they're going to serve.
Okay.
But we just got to have that opportunity for them. So, and that those sort of things we feel would sort itself out over time.
So let me address that a little bit, Brett. When I first saw this, where we were looking at like a bar downstairs kind of hidden, I was thinking, "Oh, we don't want a bar in Payson. We don't want a food hall." But as we're trying to get a gun range here and people, they're going to be from out of town, a lot of people from out of town. So we want to cater somewhat to them too, besides kind of keep it family friendly. But that's kind of why it's hidden away. But anyway, it's just something that we got to think a little bit outside of what our comfort level is if we're trying to attract people from outside the city.
I guess in the back of my head, I'm thinking, what's it like to get a liquor license? Sometimes those are tricky to get in the state of Utah. And so
we don't see it as like a full liquor license. We see it as kind of a restaurant license.
Okay.
With a liquor attachment to it, if there is one. So it's kind of, it's one of those things, and which is why it's kind of a speakeasy, because if someone do use it as a bar, then we want to be able to kind of protect the locals from it.
I'm kind of, as you're listening to you, I think Wasatch Brewery might be a good, they make a pretty good root beer.
Yeah. We designed Wasatch Brewery.
Yeah.
It's developed as a very flexible space. And so the whole front end of the building can be opened up as a public space.
Yeah.
And it's not really, alcohol or
it might end up being, it eventually could literally end up being like a ice cream. Yeah, exactly. So, but but the whole idea, what intrigues us is a speakeasy idea. We have done that for restaurants and not necessarily in a kind of like a saloon, true saloon, so to speak. But the opportunity needs to be there depending on if you're gonna have this outdoor gun range and all of that, if it's gonna pull in 20,000 people, so we're gonna have to figure out something. Anyway.
Then just speak a little bit about the parking. Maybe you could just address that a little bit more, why you think that's so important, because that's when we first saw this, we talked a lot about the parking, taking 6 stalls, but does it offset what it brings to the restaurant? Maybe you could just talk a little bit more about why you think that's so important.
There is a walkway back here. So we felt that the building, if we just kind of box it off and there's no extent. So we literally kept the storefront in the front with a little bit of adjustment, adding more glass to it. And so we have a lot of exposure on this side. We have a lot of exposure onto the alley, but kind of, if you're inside, the ability, that indoor-outdoor space, that extension, we felt is very, very valuable. Now, it kind of extend that space and it give it some visual connection and emotional connection to be on the same level and being able to go out. Now,
well, I know that we're trying to widen the outdoor seating area on the east side out onto Main Street. So I know that there's some out that way. We've narrowed the road up and put more out that way.
Yes. Yes, you will have some out there. We talked about this internally. We can take out if we can just even have 4 stalls here. This area here is about 4 stalls. We're good with four stalls, but it's, and we did talk to Brian and Dave, and we did talk, they did mention that we may not be able to give up 6, and I'm kind of like, okay, let's see where everybody is, and if we can at least take 4, it allows this whole area here to be a little bit more user friendly. versus a tiny little, or not tiny, but it's just this little bit of outdoor space. That extension around it really allows the space to come alive. But yeah, but at the end of the day, if not 6, at least maybe 4. So that's kind of where we.
Also,
The
it's
other
very-
things I mentioned as we talked about this in our meetings is that it will help us tie to, you'll be able to see the Huey's Theater there too, and it'll tie that.
That's right. It's over here.
Together. We're going to have to get some more parking down there when the Huey's Theater comes online too. And so I think we can augment that with some other parking.
Yeah, the go exactly. Thanks, Mayor. We did talk about that. So when you're coming out of the Huish Theater, or you're ready to go, that connection by having that outdoor space really strengthens and reinforces that connection, the proximity to it.
Yeah, exactly. Across the street. Yeah. We're going to have to invest in that.
Yep, I agree. I think if we build it, that part of it makes it more successful out there, and
Yes.
we can figure out what we can do. So I like what we've looked at. Will you
Thank
guys
you.
build it tomorrow?
That's right.
Give us the Go ahead and will.
Yeah, there you go.
Since it's all liquid, just a few shekels. I like the design.
Any
Thank
other
you.
questions, council? Okay,
Where do we go from here?
I think what it was just designed, to correct me if I'm wrong, just to bring the council up to speed at what we've been talking.
Yeah,
about.
we're bringing you up to speed. Then the next step is we really need to start engineering it, getting, so again, we'd have to figure out how to get the money, and then we need to start engineering it and then make sure it fits with the downtown streetscape too. They've been talking back and forth, so it's not like one's doing something and the other's doing something, so.
And then at the same time, try to go out and find some private money to.
Yeah,
help.
and these guys can help us quite a bit with that,
Yep.
find money and partnerships. And we did apply for a grant from the tourism office for $100,000 to help us to kind of do some of the engineering and then go out and find people to help us finish this project.
Are we talking demolishing the building that's there?
No.
No. Your building is your most valuable asset on Main Street. We are trying to maintain the original intent and character of that building. So we're stripping off the stucco on the front, but that takes a little bit of expiration. We won't do that. And that design will come a little bit later on because we're not sure what's underneath there. But we do a lot of historical restoration from the Brigham Young Academy in Provo to the state capitol, to the governor's mansion, to Outer Club in Utah. So we've done a lot of historical restoration here in Utah. And one of the most important, we recognize Payson, the value of Payson comes from its quaint historic downtown, and the whole entire neighborhood and then entire community has that small town look and feel to it. Everything that we will do on this building will be to enhance that branding and not take away from it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think.
Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so.
Okay, we'll go continue with the meeting. D, action items. Dave, you want a resolution economic development board appointments?
Mayor and council, we're updating the Economic Development Board. In the agenda request form, basically Jim Rowland took the place of Michelle Lyons on the chamber. Mark Kershaw will take the place of Mike Hardy. Larry Skinner will take the place of Win John Fro. And Brian Hewlett is no longer a council member, so we put him on there as a consultant. And Scott Phillips is no longer on the board. So those are the changes, but the resolution shows all the board members. And so that's our proposal. I know the Economic Development Board interviewed several people for those spots, and so that's what we're proposing the council to adopt as being our Economic Development Board.
Those are some good men.
And there were some others that we interviewed, and we definitely want to find a place for some of those in helping us in the future. So unless there's any discussion, council, I'm ready for a motion.
The only discussion I would have, and I got to be careful here, is I'd like to see more women there.
And there was one lady that we interviewed, and she will be involved. That's exactly what we wanted to do.
Okay. I would like to see some women helping make those decisions.
Yeah.
Okay. I'd make a motion that we approve the list of names presented to us by City Administrator Tuckett for the Economic Development Board.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. Roll call vote, starting with Council Hyatt.
Yes.
Council Prosgaard.
Yes.
Council Carter.
Yes.
And Council Christensen.
Yes.
Okay, as we approach this last one, number 3, ordinance amendments to the general plans, specifically the transportation master plan. Did you want to address this?
I would love to address you. Thank you. But let me just say really quickly, I got to participate in the Economic Development Board interviews, kind of asking questions. There are some that we're going to try and steal to the Planning Commission and various things. So don't.
Point well taken, Bob.
No. I think there will be just people that we would encourage to apply in the future. So anyway, but for this item, we wanted to request that the council actually table this item for the transportation map amendments. The reason being, after Planning Commission last week and throughout this week, we've received actually some feedback, and we would love to be able to have a chance to do a little open house and express some of the ways that we've used the methodology to come up with some of these suggestions and actually get a little bit more feedback from the public. So using this as a soapbox, I'm going to say that we're planning on doing that open house next Thursday from 5:30 to 6:30 here in this room.
More information is better.
Mayor, I make a motion that we table the amendment to the general plan, specifically to the transportation master plan.
Okay, we have a motion and seconded. The roll call, well, I guess we all required. Council Christensen.
Yes.
Council Carter.
Yes.
Council Prosgaard.
Yes.
Council Hyatt.
Thank you, council.
Can I interject my one little recycling tidbit right here?
Go.
Since I got like kiboshed on it. No, as I was talking with some of my neighbors, they were like, well, I had to drive all the way to Provo to recycle cardboard. He had large quantities of it. And so it kind of struck me that maybe we could come up with a way to provide it, but I know we have to pay to get rid of it. So my thought was to check with Waste Management and see if they would charge us, or if they would just be willing to, however they work. I'm sure they'd charge us. They're not going to just be willing to it.
We can
They do
ask
charge.
staff to do that for us.
But put it on the top side of the gate for our city dump. So if you've got garbage you want to recycle, you pay the $3 to take it up there and you go up there and dump it. And so now it's, if you're using that facility, you'd be paying to get rid of it. But it would kind of help to maybe keep garbage out of our landfill, provide that recycling option as well. And I texted that to Dave a while ago, but I had totally forgot about it. So I'm sure he did too.
I did.
Okay.
That's why I wanted it on official record. And now I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay,
Thanks,
thank you.
Scott, for staying long. I knew if I didn't